Hey guys, Storm So1dier here, bringing you a brief overview of the official patch notes for the May 12th closed beta patch. I'll start off by introducing the newest hero, Kael'thas. Kael'thas is a spellcaster assassin with lots of area effect and single target damage. His kit consists of Q, which is a delayed area of effect ability. His W, Living Bomb, which is cast on a single unit and explodes after 3 seconds, doing damage to nearby enemy units. And his E, which is a line skill shot that stuns the first enemy hit. His kit's pretty basic, but what makes his kit so interesting is his trait, which can be activated once every 6 seconds to alter one of his basic abilities. So for his Q, you activate it, and your next Q does 50% more damage and is 50% larger. If you activate it and cast W, it allows you to cast 2 living bombs instead of 1. And if you activate it to use your line skill shot that stuns, it'll stun 3 units instead of 1. And then he has his two ultimates, which are Phoenix, and that's you select a target area and a Phoenix will move out doing damage in his path, and when it gets there it will attack a nearby enemy unit or hero until the duration's over. And then Pyroblast, which is a single target high damage nuke that moves very slowly. Next up, I'm going to go over some of the changes that happened this patch. One of the first changes is hero portraits. Now when you reach level 9, they actually have new artwork for the portraits. Instead of just having a gold border over the original portrait, they actually have custom artwork for every single hero in the game. It's pretty awesome. And bring up the patch notes really quick. Start by looking at some of the major changes in the patch notes. One of the first is there's actually overlays for Tyrael's Sanctification and Uther's Divine Shield. If you've played this game enough, you've probably gotten gorged at some point, and it has a custom overlay to show that you've been gorged by an enemy Stitches. Now they have a similar thing for these protection abilities, Sanctification and Divine Shield. It's pretty awesome for new players because it's kind of hard to tell when you're actually getting protected by Tyrael or Uther. And now it actually displays. It just has the shimmering effect on your screen. It's pretty awesome. Next up is an option in the gameplay section of your options menu. Sure, if you guys have played this game enough, one thing that constantly happens is you start running to the bottom right and you right click on the minimap and it turns you around and makes you run right back into the enemy team. And so there's an option now where you can actually disable that and you can't right click the minimap anymore. It's a pretty awesome change. And then next is something that people have been complaining about for a while now, which is talent gating. Now when you reach player level 25, your account reaches level 25, all heroes that you buy will immediately be untalent gated. So you can just go into a game, buy a hero from the store, go into a game and just test every single talent and ultimate that hero has. As far as major reworks, ETC and Diablo got drastically changed. So I'll start with Diablo first. Diablo did receive significant updates. His health got decreased and he got some of his best talents stripped from him. Amplified Healing, Relentless at 13, and even his trait, which could build you up a lot of health early game, is now percentage based. So early game you're actually much squishier than you were before, no matter how many stacks you have. It actually doesn't even get better until around level 16 or so. Diablo got hit pretty hard this patch, but he got a lot of new talents. I haven't had a chance to actually try out all of his builds, But I'm assuming that if you want to make use out of him, you are going to have to build him in a damage type role instead of tankiness, because he's so much squishier as a tank now. ETC got significant updates also. He got scouting drone stripped from him, which is really great for smaller maps. He got relentless stripped from him, and hardened shield, two really high survivability talents. And his damage, some of his best damage abilities, which was level 7 and level 4, Echo Pedal and Guitar Hero, are now moved around and reworked. So you can't actually get the damage that you got from him before, and you have to rely on a lot of his utility now. So now with all the new talents, if you actually go through and read, it actually increases like the range and the width and duration of your abilities and stuns. So it looks like he's going to be much more utility based now and a lot less damage based. One of his major talents that got added, one of the biggest changes, is at level 20 you can now get Tour Bus, which allows you to power slide while you are casting, while you are channeling Mosh Pit, and it also increases the duration by 50%. It's a pretty awesome talent, just makes him feel completely different. And I'm sure it'll catch a lot of people off guard, being able to slide while you're channeling Mosh Pit. Next up is talents. Some of the major talent changes that happen this patch are Clairvoyance. It now reveals stealthed units, so you can find Zeratul and Novas. As soon as you cast Clairvoyance on them, it breaks their stealth. Healing Ward got a significant, it got significantly nerfed, because it can now be targeted by area of effect abilities, and the health pool is actually extremely small. So if you place this in the middle of a team fight and a volley uses a multi-shot, it's just going to get destroyed immediately. Ice Block got a pretty nice change. It can now be reactivated to cancel its effects early. This means that before, if you casted Ice Block, it had a set amount of time before it expired. So if your enemies knew the timing on Ice Block, they could just wait until the end of the duration and then cast a stun or a hook, some kind of skill shot, and stun you immediately after it got canceled. But now, since you can cancel it early, you can mind game your enemies and actually avoid those skill shots. And then Promote, which got nerfed a few patches ago. It used to be permanent, and now it got changed to 15 seconds. It was in a rough spot where you could use it if you were extremely close to the turrets, just to drain ammo. But now that the duration got doubled, it's actually an option worth considering. You could use it even behind your turrets, and it'll last long enough that it'll reach the enemy turrets and still drain the ammo, even if you're not pushing with your creeps. As far as balance changes go, the major balance changes are Abathur, his Bombard, Strain, Locust. The range of it got reduced by 30%, which means no more backdoor Abathurs. If they try to backdoor, the turrets will lose a little bit of ammo but kill the Locust. So if you're pushing, what this means is, even though it's a slight nerf as far as pushing Abathurs go, it's still a pretty good talent. It's just, it can't be used to end games on the core, and it can't be used to backdoor anymore. Next major change is with Murky. Your egg will automatically spawn as soon as you start the game. So no more forgetting to place your egg. In case you just run out and like die immediately and you forgot to place your egg, it'll always at least be in your spawn, which means you won't have to wait around forever just because you derped. Lost Vikings. The boat will now be stunned for, or your Vikings will now be stunned for 1.5 seconds if the longboat is destroyed before its duration ends. So you'll just have to be a little bit more careful with the positioning of longboat. if the enemy jumps on you and destroys your boat immediately and you don't get the full duration off, then you'll just be sitting there in front of the enemies taking damage while you're stunned for 1.5 seconds. Anubarak got a pretty significant change. Even though it's not a number change, the casting delay was removed from Impale and Burrow Charge, and it's actually a lot smoother playing Anubarak and a lot more fun to play. And then the final big change is with So1dier, who just got buffs across the board. Basically just damage and duration and everything, just buffs across the board. So if you haven't had a chance to play So1dier, now's a good chance to play her. She was already in a pretty good spot. Maybe not one of the most played heroes and maybe a little bit weaker, but I think she needed these buffs and she's feeling really good now. And I think that's it for overview of the patch notes. Of course, there are many more changes, and if you want to look more in depth, just click on the link below to read the official patch notes. Hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you next time.